Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sake Revolution. This is America's first sake podcast, and I'm your host, John Puma from the Sake Notes, also the administrator over at the Internet Sake Discord, and I also run the Reddit r/sake community.
And I'm your host, Timothy Sullivan. I'm a sake samurai. I'm the director of education at the Sake Studies Center, and I'm also the founder of the Urban Sake website. And every week, John and I will be here tasting and chatting about all things sake and doing our best to make it fun and easy to understand.
Well, hello there, Tim.
Happy New Year, John.
Happy New Year. It is 20 and 25. We're here. We're doing it.
Hard to believe, but it is 2025, and we have a new year of sake revolution ahead of us.
We do.
And as we are wont to do, we're going to take a look back at last year and look forward to this year. And I like these episodes. It's a kind of a fresh start. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I usually like these episodes, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. So what we usually do for our year in review episode is talk a little bit about the episodes we released, maybe some reactions to them, and we have our famous or maybe infamous revolution resolutions every year.
Infamous, huh?
Infamous.
Anyway, so yeah, we do. We absolutely have. I have information in front of me. I imagine you have similar information in front of you. You probably have more information in front of you right now because I know for a fact that you went and looked at the stats, and I resisted the urge so that I would not be feigning surprise, that it'll all be authentic.
That's right.
Yeah.
So looking back at 2024, do you have any idea, any guess what our most listened to episode of 2024 was?
So I'm taking a look, and so most listened to, so that the older ones have an advantage because they've been around the longest. So I'm going to say sake and cheese.
Ooh, that's a very good guess, but that's wrong.
I was being hopeful because Michelle was on that episode, so you want things to be good for her. Yeah. Okay. So it's not that one. So which one is it?
So the most listened to episode of 2024 was Serious Baggage, Bringing Back Sake from Japan. So that was our suitcase import episode, episode 163.
No kidding.
Yes.
Wow. I am legitimately surprised.
Really?
I did not see that coming. It's an older one, so it does have that advantage of time. And it is a fun topic, and a lot of people are going to Japan. I think in 2025, they are expecting to break the record again, because I think they broke it in 2024 for tourists. And I love the idea that people are going to Japan and wanting to bring back sake, because I think that converts into people who, when they get here, want to drink sake here. Right? Does that make sense? Okay.
I agree. And I mean, I think you're 100% right. When you look at it, the number of people who are traveling to Japan, I get emails regularly from people, from students, from friends of friends, from colleagues who are like, oh, I'm going to Japan for the first time. I want a sake experience while I'm there. What should I do? And I get that question all the time. So it's great. And I think that really ties into that episode being popular.
Great. Now I have a question for you. We don't have to go too in depth in it, but do you have like a standard response to that? Or do you then have follow-up questions that like, well, what are you into? Have you had sake before? That kind of stuff.
I do not have any follow-up questions. I have a Google Doc.
Okay, you've got the doc. All right. Is it a Google like map, or is it just like a list?
It is just a list.
Ooh, okay.
And it's just Tokyo and Kyoto, which is where most people go on their first trip.
Absolutely.
And I just list, this is a bar I recommend. This is a retail shop I recommend. This is a high-end restaurant I recommend. And, if you're in Tokyo and you want to visit a brewery, I recommend this place. So it's like, it's my greatest hits. But it's things that are easy to get to, on not off the beaten path at all. And, it's just easy to have it all in one doc. So I just send that to people and say, here's what I recommend. It's very, very, very good idea.
Excellent. Nice. I like it. I'm going to have to take a look at that list and, see how I feel about what you've decided, what you've decided to recommend to people, and what heavy hitters have made the list, which ones got left out. I need answers to this, Tim.
Yes. Well, maybe we should. I think that's a great topic for a future episode. Like Tim and John's personal Japan recommendations.
We can curate the list. Oh, I love it. And we can make like an official Sake Revolution list.
Ooh, I like that too.
Oh, I love it when the ideas just write themselves. So we have the most listened to episode of the year. That's great. What other fun tidbits did you learn?
Well, I also wanted to ask you, regardless of downloads, what is your favorite episode from 2024, John?
Oh, well, honestly, I think my favorite episode is probably the Kikasui Funaguchi Smart Pouch episode, Funky Packaging, episode 167, because it was just so silly and so much fun to do. It was one of our first Funky Packaging episodes, and just the idea of this giant Capri Sun pouch was just, it was ridiculous and fun to have in the house. It was ridiculous and fun to pour out of. I just had a really good time with that one. I laughed and laughed and laughed. What about you?
Well, I think that my favorite episode of the year was Sake Revolution Live from Brooklyn Kura.
All right. Okay. I feel like that's cheating, but okay.
Why is it cheating?
I know it's not cheating because I didn't think of it first. No.
Yeah. I mean, doing the live episode with Shinobu from Kato Sake Works, Brandon from Brooklyn Kura, it was a whole lot of work, but we had a live audience and we had a lot of fun, and it was great getting that immediate feedback, and I just loved it. So that was my favorite episode.
There is something special about having a live audience. I will say that it is, it's different. No offense to being on the Zoom with you, Tim, but I think that there is definitely something special about being in a room with dozens of fans.
Yeah, and Brandon and Shinobu were so funny right off the cuff. They're so entertaining, and it was not like any crafty editing work on our part. It was just their genuine personalities really came through, and getting the audience reactions on audio was also really great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that was episode 173 for anyone who wants to go back and listen.
Yeah, highly recommended. That was a lot of fun.
Right on.
So I guess now is the time that I've kind of been dreading. The
accountability.
Accountability. Don't we all hate that? No. Accountability. And I gotta pay the piper, I think. But let's overview here. For 2024, we both made Sake Revolution resolutions. Yours was to do some live shows, and we accomplished that with your favorite show of the year, which is great. Now it makes a little more sense that was your favorite show of the year too.
Yes. So my revolution resolution for 2024, as you just said, was to do a live show, and we made it happen. I had this vision for a long time to be on the stage in the tap room at Brooklyn Kura, and we made it happen. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. And I actually have a behind the scenes tidbit that I have not told you, John, that yes, I've been holding on to a secret about that recording.
I'm ready.
The secret is that when we finished recording, I downloaded the episode and everything was fine. But I looked at the memory card and we were about 6 minutes away from running out of space if we had gone longer.
So a near disaster, but no disaster.
There was no disaster.
No disaster.
There was a near disaster, and I sometimes I sometimes like bolt up in bed in the middle of the night sweating, thinking about like running out of space during a live recording. So that'll never happen again.
That's
but, disaster was averted. However, it was still my favorite episode, even if I have PTSD from discovering after the fact that we almost ran out of space on the memory card.
Well, I'm glad we didn't run out of space for the memory card.
Right?
Can you imagine going through and doing that whole episode and finding out it wasn't recorded?
That is stuff of my literal nightmares. Like that is so scary. But we dodged a bullet, and it won't happen again because now I'm scared into triple checking every time we record. But
excellent.
Yes. Yes. So that was my resolution, and resolution achieved.
Woohoo! Good for you. I'm glad you achieved
right.
yours. My resolution, on the other hand.
So I went to the videotape, John.
Yep.
John's resolution from 2024 was to do some formal sake education that involved a certificate of some kind.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
I'm guessing from your lead up that that was not achieved. So what do you think happened, JP?
I think I misjudged how much like regular life stuff was going to take place this year, and I didn't focus, and I didn't get it done. I did not get it done. Makes me sad. I wish I did. I feel bad. I feel real bad that I didn't get it done, but I feel that I can still do this in 2025. It's not like I lost the ability to learn about sake. I need to make it a priority and do it.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but I didn't. But I can always, I will never forgive myself if I continue to not do this. So I need to do this. I need to make sure this happens.
Well, I might have said this when you made that resolution, but you do have a buddy who technically is a sake teacher and does give certificates. So
technically,
literally, you know a guy.
I do know a guy, and I should have called upon you for that, and I did not. There's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas about this one, Ted.
Oh yeah. So I guess that leads us to the question of, are you going to repeat for 2025, or do you want to go in a different direction?
Well, for 2025, I'm going to try and double up, so to speak. So right. I feel like this still needs to happen. It is 2024's resolution that is still dangling and needs to be addressed. But I think that 2025 should potentially have its own resolution.
Now, when you say double up, that made me think of getting 2 certificates in sake education.
No. I mean 2 resolutions.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 resolutions was what I'm looking to do, and so one of them is a holdover where we're going to try to get that certificate, and then the second one, we'll wait until we're talking about 2025, which I guess
let's go for
great
it.
Segue.
It's time.
How about that? So yeah, for 2025, my goal it's a comparably easy one, but I want to record, and by that I mean jot down, take a photo, something of every single sake that I have this year.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That's not easy. That's a big
doable.
challenge.
It's doable.
Yes.
We always have a camera in our pocket, so this is possible. It's definitely something one can do.
It's possible. When I was a newbie, young little sake nerd out there in the world, I tried to do that. And I know that if you go to a sake event and you have 1, 2, 3, maybe more sakes, it gets increasingly difficult to remember to get the camera out and get the non-blurry photos of the sakes you're taking.
I never said that pictures would be in focus, number one. And I also never said they would all be photos. I just need to have a record of some sort. Okay. So if I go someplace and I have something and nobody told me what it was, I needed to write down like, I don't know what this was.
Yeah.
It counts.
All right.
All right.
Support you. I support you in that resolution.
Yes.
I think that's wonderful.
I will have you know, as we record this, I've gotten off to a decent start on this. I've only decided that that's what I'm going to do a few days ago, and so I've been doing it since then. So,
Okay.
We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, I can make this happen. I think even if I can get the majority, it'll be great.
So, are you going to be keeping a tasting notebook or a Google photo album? The only reason I ask is because I want to hold your feet to the fire, and I want to get the accountability piece. So how can we view this?
It's going to be for the moment, it's going to be just a photo album. As much as I can. And in some cases, if I need to just make make a note at some place, that'll be a different thing. I'm worried about what happens when I go to Japan. That's because things get out of hand there in a hurry. And like Joy of Sake, that can become a little fraught.
Oh yeah.
But
I think we can give you a pass on a few occasions. You can.
All right. I get 2-day passes.
You get 2-day pass. Yes. And I know from John Puma's days as the sake notes in full swing, you are a very gifted photographer of sake bottles.
Yeah. With a real camera. I've never been able to replicate that with a phone, unfortunately. But yeah. I also want to get more into that, to be completely honest. I want to get back into photographing the bottles in a fun way. I think I did have a knack for that, and I miss it a little bit.
Yeah,
maybe that should have been my resolution. It was just to take more photos of sake bottles. Instead, I had to go all in on this. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a great resolution for 2025, and you've got double trouble this year, JP. So
yeah. But enough about me and my failures and and my attempts at redemption.
Redemption, yes.
What about you? What are you doing for 2025?
Okay, so my resolution for 2025, I'm calling it back to basics. So I think back to our very first episodes that we did on this podcast, and we covered a lot of topics that are really good for beginners. And I've listened back to some of those episodes, and I honestly think we should revisit some episodes that we did at the beginning, introducing basic concepts. I think we're a little more comfortable podcasters now. We have some more sake and life experience under our belt. And I think that we could do some revisiting of really important back to basic episodes. And that's my goal for this year, is to re-examine some of our Sake 101 episodes and see if we can breathe any fresh perspectives into them and bring a few back to the pod this year.
So it's a Sake 201 or 102, maybe? I don't know.
Just, things like talking about nigori or what junmai is, or aruten, alcohol added sake. Like, I think we did really good basic comprehensive episodes on those, but there's a few that I think we could add some more to, revisit, and just look at it in a fresh light from 5 years down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's been 5 years, hasn't it? Oh my goodness.
It has been 5 years. Yeah. So that is my resolution.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we've got this figured out, and we know what we're going to be trying to do. And, this is an episode of Sake Revolution, and it would not be proper for us to do this without tasting some sake.
Yeah.
So we need to get on that, Tim.
Yes.
We have each brought a bottle of sake that we're going to independently taste. So Tim does not have what I'm having, and I do not have what Tim's having, but I'm relatively confident that we have both had what one another are having at one point or another.
Yes. And the sakes that we picked, this was dealer's choice, and the sakes that we picked either tie to our 2024 in some way or tie to our hopes for 2025. So if you'll allow me, John, I'll go ahead and kick off the tasting. So the sake that I have brought with me is a sake from Sake Revolution episode 2. from episode number 2.
Number 2.
I brought one of our all-time favorites back from episode 2. This is Kudoki Jozu Junmai Ginjo, and this is from Kamenoi Shuzo, and they're in Yamagata Prefecture. This is a sake that you and I both love and have tasted many times together. And one of the fun throwbacks to episode 2 was all the fun names we came up with to translate Kudoki Jozu into English.
Yes.
So Kudoki Jozu means good at flirting or skillful at flirting or lover boy or whatever you want to say. And it was just such a fun episode. And this ties in with my back to basics idea that I want to look at those early episodes we did, see if we can revisit any of them and bring a little bit more to the table. So I'm going to be tasting Kudoki Jozu.
Sounds great. I've got a sake that I've been a big fan of for a long time, but until relatively recently, this one was not available in the U.S. And it is now. So I took full advantage of this. I took full advantage of this new change, and I have Emishiki's World Peace, because when we all like some peace in 2025 in the world.
Yes. Make mine a double.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I've got. And Tim, you want to give us the stats on your Kudoki Jozu?
Yes. So this is Kudoki Jozu Junmai Ginjo from Kamenoi Shuzo in Yamagata. We have a classification of Junmai Ginjo. The SMV or sake meter value is +1. The acidity is 1.2. And we have an alcohol percentage of 16.5%.
And for my Emishiki World Peace, Emishiki Brewing Company over in Shiga Prefecture. This is a Junmai Ginjo Genshu. The rice variety is Yamada Nishiki. It's been milled down to 50%. They're using Hanakobo on this one, Tim. So a flour yeast. I tried to get some more information, dig a little deeper into what kind of flour. That didn't go very far. So flour yeast. A SMV, that measure of dry to sweet, is -7. Woo. So it's going to be a little sweet. Acidity is 1.6, which is a little high. So it might balance out the sweetness. And the alcohol percentage is 16%.
All righty. So I'm going to go ahead and open mine up first and get it in the glass.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that poured delightful, Tim.
All poured.
Let me catch up to you.
So this is very clear in the glass, and when I smell this sake, it honestly is like meeting an old friend. It is like a sake I've had many times, often with you, and it is fruity, light, quite balanced.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some pineapple, a little bit of melon, classic ginjo aromas, and I'm going to give it a taste. So delightful. I wish you were here with me, John, so we could both drink this, because I know you love it.
I do.
Yes. And this is just like classic textbook Yamagata sake. Fruity, light to medium bodied, great balance, not a trace of bitterness or sharpness, round, clean on the finish, and lovely, lovely ginjo fruits. Like, this is the textbook example of what a light Yamagata sake is all about, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I remember it, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is absolutely delicious. And I think that this bottle will disappear quickly after the episode's done.
The countdown has begun.
Yes, that's another prediction for 2025.
This bottle of Kudoki Jozu will not last the day. So I've got my world peace. I've got it in my glass, and on the nose, this is fruit salad. It is the nose is just purely a wonderful fruit salad. You know, if you ever had if you've ever been to like a little buffet and they've got the little fruit salad, and you take a little bit, you put it in your bowl, and you go back to you go back to your seat, give it a nice little sniff. This is it.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of that kind of aroma. It's not a fruit bomb, but fruit salad.
Yeah. It says that it uses flower yeast. So I'm curious if there are any floral notes in addition to fruitiness on the aroma. I haven't had it recently.
Not a ton to me. I think that the fruit is kind of dominant, and it's a you know how when fruit salad's been sitting there, it kind of gets a little bit more. It gets sweeter, like the aroma gets a little bit more aggressive, a little more like
I would say concentrated, like a little more concentrated. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. No, that's a good way to put it. And it's it's like it's like that. It's got all of your, you know, your cantaloupe, your honeydew, almost a little cherry in there too. Really nice. Oh wow! And then the sip is it's delivering on that promise, but it's got a little bit more. It's got a little more body than I was expecting. So the aroma had me thinking just this you know, this wild fruit salad situation. When I sip on it, it's still very fruity, still very sweet. Some more of that floral comes out on the palate. And I do think if the acidity wasn't so high on this, it's not that high, but it's higher, I think it would be kind of overpoweringly sweet. But it's luckily it's balanced out nicely. So, you know, one of the things we always like to say on the show about sake when we see these numbers is it balanced? And the answer here to me is that it is. It's great sake is always about balance. And I think they did a nice job with this.
Yes. Well, I also want to say that, like, what a great name for that sake too, World Peace.
Yeah. I think that, Tim, my favorite Kudoki Jozu translation from back when we originally did this was the Google Translate flirtation with Mac Daddy.
Mac Daddy
as a translation for good at flirting. Unfortunately, or fortunately, translations have come a long way since then, and it's no longer what Google thinks. I'm actually trying to find what it actually says right now. Kudoki Jozu. Good at persuasion is what Google's saying now.
That's really come down from Mac Daddy.
Yeah, good at persuasion. I think they're trying to be politically correct.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like Jozu means like skilled at or, you know, good at. So I always said like skilled at flirting is kind of the way I've always thought about it. But yeah.
I think that works.
AI is never going to understand Kudoki Jozu.
It never will. No. As I am sipping on the World Peace a little bit, I have a little word of advice for those sipping on their World Peace at home. Perhaps have this sake cold. As it's warming up, it's getting more. The flavor is becoming a little more cloying. It's becoming a little bit more thicker. This is definitely something that, you know, I think that when you have something a little more chilly, the flavor becomes a little more restrained, and this is a sake that benefits from that restraint.
Yeah, when you think about fruit salad juice, like the liquid on fruit salad, that can get a little bit sticky sweet, and I can understand how like keeping the sake well chilled makes it crisp and a little brighter. Yeah.
Sticky sweet. That's a really excellent way to put this. That's what I'm getting out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, John. So are you hopeful about 2025 in your double trouble resolution?
I think I might have dug myself a little bit of a ditch. But the good thing about having two resolutions is that it's a little bit easier to do one. So we'll see what happens.
Is this like reverse psychology for John Puma?
I don't know. It might be, but I'm hoping that I'm hoping I can make this happen. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out as the year rolls on.
Yes, I am. I have visions of a redemption arc for John Puma in 2025.
Oh, thank you, Tim. I really appreciate that.
Yes. Well, I'll meet you back here in 1 year, 2026, January, and I'm looking forward to it.
God help me. Okay. So
all right. Well, John, it was great to taste with you. So much fun to taste a couple of sakes, look back on last year, look forward to this year. And I always enjoy our year in review episodes. So great to taste with you. And I also want to say a special thank you and hello to all of our patrons. Without you, Sake Revolution would not be possible. And we wish you the best for this new year as well. If you would like to become a patron and support our work here at Sake Revolution, please visit patreon.com/Sake Revolution to learn more.
And if you would like to support Sake Revolution, another thing you can do is get on your platform of choice and talk about us. Leave us a review. If you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, those are probably the two big ones these days, I think. Some of the other stuff we used to talk about for this maybe a little outdated. Tim, you're modernizing the podcast idea is rubbing off on me. So yeah, get over there and defeat the algorithm by talking about your favorite sake podcast. So without any further ado, for the first time in 2025, at least for this show, please raise your glass. Remember to keep drinking sake and
Kanpai.